Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Whoop, whoop.
Holler. Welcome to another episode of the Emotional Men podcast. This is my name's Taylor.
Yay.
This is Pete. We're both mental health professionals. You probably already knew that because why else would you be listening to this, I guess? This is episode 2 of a 3-part series we're doing on balanced living.
The first episode we did was on finding balanced life, including education in your life. And that didn't just mean going to school and formal education, but if you heard the episode, you'd know that. So get better.
That's right. And this episode is on finding a balanced life through creation, which is not necessarily a discussion about making art, but about making things that can be artistic or not. And then next week, we'll finish out our series with a look on a balanced life through physical endeavors, physical fitness, activity, and all kinds of other stuff. So come join us for a magical experience.
That was the creepiest way you could have said that.
And themes on go. I just beat out of focus. I think it's because your facial features are so nondescript that even with the hat off, it doesn't get you. That's amazing.
No, dang it. Yeah, so this is my first time with a new camera that McCary Counseling kindly sponsored.
No. This is a gift from Mr. Andy Mayer, not a sponsor.
Oh, well, thanks,
gift.
Mr. Mayer. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay, well, thanks, Mr. Mayer. So this first time using a high definition camera, and it just keeps every now and then goes out of focus. So usually my head is bright and shiny and evident, and every now and then it just goes matte.
That's right. So in our last episode, I mentioned my friend Christian. And specifically, you said that you would love to hear his Homestar.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, he did impersonations. What?
Here we go.
Oh no! I think I lost my PD pajamas!
Wait, there's more. I got 4 of these.
Hey, Reggie! Is that rhinoceros around? I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a healthy piece of real estate. Caramel corn for president, please.
I told you, he's real good at it.
Oh my gosh. Caramel corn for president 2028.
Caramel corn for president, please. For anybody who has never been to homestarrunner.com and has no interest in going to homestarrunner.com, you'll just have to take our word. That is a killer Homestar.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. I want him to create a ringtone for me that says a healthy piece of real estate.
You've reached Peter. He's busy slinging the yarn ball.
I'm sorry.
I think
here's my favorite character. Here's my favorite character because I always count on him to just bring everything into the abstract.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You're actually crying.
It's like, oh man, it's nostalgic and endearing. It's like if all of a sudden, I found a new episode of like Star Trek: The Next Generation that had never aired or something. I found something like that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah, cry with happiness and sadness and reminiscence.
In about 3 weeks, Christian's going to be very happy to hear your reaction.
You're going to have to cut about 5 to 10 minutes of me crying.
Just you laughing.
Squealing like an idiot.
Homestar.
Yeah, fangirling over Homestar. Oh my gosh, I feel a t-shirt coming. No, I put the brakes on that. Sorry, thank you, Christian. I'll just say thank you, Christian.
There might be an issue for making a t-shirt out of a copyrighted character for our podcast. I can see that going poorly.
That's true. Well, thank you to Christian and to the Brothers Chaps.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Yes. The Chapman brothers. If you got that reference, you're a cool person. And if you didn't, you're not.
That's what it takes.
That's what it takes. Okay, so another fantastic, fun-filled day. Pete, you and I released an episode on toxic masculinity, and I expected a lot more anger. I'm not gonna lie. I guess there's still time. There's still time.
We're trying really hard to get that troll, but our friends are too nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We had our friend Gary who wrote an almost mean comment, but then he told us a lovely story. So,
Yeah, so he kind of pulled up. I
but
think
we did get. Go ahead.
I was prepared for a lot of vitriol or some like really strong reaction. I think because that is what is pushed on social media, and that's what gets clicks, and so that's what gets pushed by the algorithms is really strong emotional reactions and people's. I see debates between people who don't believe toxic masculinity exists, and so they have. They're talking heads and they're provocateurs, they're professional provocateurs. That's what they do for a living. And so I guess my impression of it was that people in general have really strong reactions about this, or they should be indignant about it. But maybe in real life, people aren't so heated. Maybe in real life,
Yeah.
people think more than they talk.
Yeah, I would love to do an episode on why social media is just the worst for like exactly that reason.
Yeah.
It's a dumpster fire of poopy butt.
Yeah, we could do an episode on that. There's a lot of information out there on the impact of the iPhone, especially when the iPhone came out, people had pocket held access to the internet. I mean, besides the nerds that already had it and whatever. But
Yeah. The BlackBerry.
wide and overreaching, that like touchscreen stuff and just instant access to the internet at large, what the impact of that was.
Yeah. We have gotten a few comments, and in fact, like maybe 15 minutes before we even started this, we got an email from somebody, a guy by the name of Brian Cass, who is just a swell fella, a downright delightful man. But he wrote like a full on, yes, like a full thesis on the history of toxic masculinity, and like talking about. So there's two charts in his email.
Two charts.
And the first chart, it's a timeline of evolving views of masculinity from the 1920s to the present. And the three columns are the era, the dominant view or ideal view of masculinity, and key shifts and influences. And so he's talking about like World War I's impact on the understanding of what it means to be man down through the present era. And then he has another one was I thought was a fantastic thing. He said, and I hope he doesn't mind him quoting this. I tried brainstorming a litmus test to help differentiate toxic versus healthy masculinity. Here is the summary of that rabbit hole of questions. 1, does the behavior suppress vulnerability in self or others and seek control? It's toxic. 2, does the behavior allow vulnerability in self or others and prioritize connection? It's healthy. And then he has the second thing. So the columns are the pillar, the intent, the why, the impact, the result, the expression, the how. The second pillar is toxic masculinity, rooted in fear and control. Healthy masculinity, rooted in integrity and connection. And just breaking down. And Brian is not a mental health professional.
He's just a thoughtful person.
Just a thoughtful person who does research. And, it was great. So that was really cool.
Yeah, he said that the episode was thought-provoking, which I had told Taylor, in our green room, that that was probably the biggest compliment we could get. Not having dived into, not being an expert in any of these topics that we talk about, but the insights that we provide. Not any of them, but I'm saying there are experts out there who have dedicated their lives to knowing what gender role differentials and the power dynamics of gender, and we could, I would not say that I was an expert in any of that. But if our insights and the way we talk about things make people think and create charts, for heaven's sake, that is a huge compliment. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And my pushback on the not being experts, I don't think we are experts explicitly in toxic masculinity. However, we are mental health experts, as expert as a person could be, I suppose.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. I
Yeah,
mean
we're not just
specifically
two
to the
dudes who are like,
topics that we're
I have
talking.
strong feelings, so I'm going to say I know what I'm talking about. No, we
No,
actually
no.
kind of
I'm
do.
saying specifically about these topics. If I was gonna present a study on gender power dynamics, I think I would be ill-equipped right now for that specific thing. But if I was going to say how my patients have experienced mental health distress based on their gender roles or their gender treatment or toxic masculinity, I could talk about mental health.
Sure,
So there,
sure, sure,
that's me.
sure.
That's me backtracking. I'm done.
Good, Pete. Way to cover. What is
The
the
CYA,
CYA?
yeah,
The
cover
A
your
stands
bottom.
for your booty. A is for booty.
That's not today's letter, by the way, or
No,
today's word.
no, it's not. Well, I wonder what today's letter is going to be.
Oh
How
well,
exciting! An
yeah.
uncovering, a discovery.
Speaking of exciting and discovering, um, today is
Uh-huh.
part two of a 3 episode um, series that we're doing on promoting a healthy lifestyle. Last time we
Balanced.
balanced lifestyle. The first one was on education, and we talked a
Hmm.
lot about balancing your life with your educational demands. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about creativity and
Your voice is so soothing right now. I feel like if you just spoke in that cadence to me while I was trying to fall asleep and just like read the news, I would be out like a light.
well,
I'd just be
feel
like, I feel so safe.
okay. I'll try to be a little harsher for the sake of this podcast.
Speaking of toxic masculinity,
No, we just want Taylor to stay awake. So,
no, and let me rephrase. I was not bored by it. It was just it was like liquid velvet chocolate being poured into my ears.
oh man, I should have
Yes.
eaten lunch before this.
Yes, you should have.
All right, I'll
About
try again.
20
Here we
minutes
go.
from now. No, 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 don't try again. Keep it. But like 20 minutes from now, Pete's like, yeah, and so creativity is.
Beep, 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 beep.
He'll just shut down and be like, okay, well, I guess
That's the
I'll keep it
show.
entertaining.
Yeah, I have a nice camera, so you can see me fall asleep a lot better.
Yes, you can see the slowly closing of his eyes.
Yeah.
This is neither here nor there, but one time, this is an embarrassing true story. I had a client that, if I'm being honest, was not my favorite client. And she came into my office right after lunch and she was just, I shouldn't say any of this, but I'm going to keep it in because it's true. I just didn't care. I just had no interest at all in what she
You're a
was saying.
human being when you're in
Uh-huh.
therapy. Wow.
Yeah, I know. And she was talking, and it was right after lunch, and I 1000% for that long fell asleep in front of her. My
Oh my
head drooped. I went
gosh.
like this. She was talking, and I was like, She fully caught it and never came back.
Oh man.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
then forever
8
she'll
years
tell her
ago.
therapy doesn't work. My therapist fell asleep.
That's right. I ruined the entire experience for her
I'd say fall
because
asleep
she
maybe
was
is extreme. You dozed off.
still. That's not where you want to see your therapist.
Absolutely not. Um,
Yeah,
and the important part here is that Taylor regrets it, and in 8 years he hasn't done it since.
that's true. I have not done it since. I do regret it. I think I ought to have done in that moment is, and this is maybe not a popular opinion, but if I could go back in time and do it again, like, hey, I'm so bored hearing you tell this.
Oh my
What are
gosh.
you, what are you not telling me? Because
Like
like
you,
there's no emotion behind it. I just feel like you're telling me facts about things, but there's no emotional weight of it. There's no emotional impact, and so I can't help but feel like you don't care about it because I don't care about it. So convince me you care about it, or find something that you actually care about to talk about. Well, yeah. So we're talking about creativity today.
creativity. So tell me, when it comes to a balanced life, how is creativity the idea you have as we approach this episode of the importance of creativity in your life? How is that different than the episode we did before of art and the soul?
Well, that's a very good question. Art and the soul and mental health, I think, was about experiencing art, right? About going to places where you see art, having art around you. It was about valuing artistic expression in others, right? I think what we're talking about today can be about art, but I don't think creativity and art are the same thing. I can create things that are not artistic, but still have value for me in my life. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're talking something purely functional with no expression behind it.
Potentially, yeah. The value is in the creation, not necessarily in the thing that is created.
Ooh, okay. So what do we get out of the process of creation then is the question. That is a great
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, on Monday night of this week, I went and saw a concert, and it was a guy named Ben Kenney, he was the bass player for Incubus for like 20 years, and he left the band because of a lot of reasons. He had a brain tumor, he lost hearing in one of his ears, his father died, he
Wow.
got married. I mean, a lot of stuff, big life-changing stuff happened in his life, and what really struck me is he's like, all right, well, I got to make this stuff now. So he put out an album. He mixed it, recorded it himself. He played almost all the instruments on it, and it was a killer album. He decided to name it Powerful Butt Cheeks, which is amazing.
Okay.
I now have a T-shirt that says "Powerful Butt Cheeks" on it. I wore it to work the next day. I absolutely wore that to work the next day.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
really good. But the thing about him that was really cool was that I don't know that he could have stopped those songs from coming out of him. Like he needed to make something. And in his case, it was music. And in his case, he had the capacity to put together a group and go out and play that music live. Um, but it was really, really cool. And in fact, what was especially cool for me was it was a really small show. I mean, there were like 50 people in there. And this is a
Holy
man who's
cow.
played every major arena in America.
Wait, this is
He's played
Incubus?
the bass player, former bass player from Incubus, the second one.
Holy cow.
So, but I saw him and I actually got to talk to him, which was amazing. I got a picture with him
Wow.
and everything. And I got to tell him, and I was like, hey, man, like, I just need you to know how much your music has meant to me. I really thank you for making it. He had a song called Eulogy, and then he put out a video where he played two guitars, a bass, and a drum, and he put it in like a grid on the screen, and he recorded each part separately, but he did it all live and then put it together. And because of that video, I made two albums. Because of that, it's like, oh, I could do that. I can do that. Wait, I can do that. So it was that was cool. And then his response to that was, hey man, like that means more than anything. So I was like, oh dude, this is what creativity and creation's about. You make something and it has value and meaning to people and it inspires and moves. And like you were talking about people responding to the last episode that we
Mhm.
released. What's cool is that it's making people think. It means that we're having an impact on what they're thinking, how they're thinking, and not necessarily making them think what we want them to, but not because we don't want them. There's no want. It's just we
Yeah.
like people to think and integrate and synthesize the new
No.
things into. Yes. Are we going down that rabbit hole again? Just lots
No,
of
no, no.
synthesis today.
If they can come
Mm,
along with us in our thinking, I believe that writing is thinking, and
mm.
sometimes debate debate is thinking. It's helpful when you have pre-thought out ideas and you can come to the debate with it, but I find that during the debate, you also engage in a lot of thinking as you flesh out these ideas. So if people come along with us as we're doing this together, Taylor and I, it's just a wonderful experience with people.
Yeah, it's everything that I want, and I think Pete feels pretty similarly. So creativity is not art. I don't think that like Jihad, for example. I talked to him about creativity a couple of years back, and he's like, I make stuff all the time. I was like, oh, I'd love to see your art. And he's like, I don't make art. I make systems.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah. And after the soccer or the football game, excuse me, not the soccer game, after it, he made spreadsheets and he broke down what the game was and what plays worked, what plays didn't, how much they worked, how the other team reacted, the plays they called, and he made a system for cataloging the experience. And
Wow.
like it was, I don't think art in the traditional sense, but it was beautiful to see and it was helpful and useful. And he made it. Like he is the reason that thing exists, and he took value in the creation.
That is really cool. So any type of creativity could be unique to the person and what they do. One thing I was reading earlier was the types of creativity that people engage in that they find help their mental health. Um, one qualitative study, meaning they took themes from interviewing a bunch of people, they found that their connection between everyday creativity and mental health, and everyday, like the uh, colloquial term, everyday creativity, it involves attacking day-to-day activities in a divergent way.
Hmm.
And from thinking about things different ways, like taking a different way home on your drive home from work, or making pancakes by putting ingredients together in different ways. Those characteristics in a way to like engage in just doing things differently. They affect your cognitive ability, your personal affect, your mood, your motivation, social
Hmm.
factors like your openness with others, flexibility in accepting other opinions, playfulness and
Yeah.
humor. A lot of different, I think a lot of personality traits are affected by your daily, everyday creativity.
I fully agree. And I think that one of the things about creativity that is useful and helpful is like it's a question of creation and control. If I'm making a new way home, I've decided to create a new path for me to go home. I have the power and reminding myself, I can choose this. This is not, I don't have to go home this way. I can't choose the consequence of it, but like I'm in control. I can make a
Oh
thing and I
yeah.
can deal with the consequence of that thing. I think there's a real ennobling aspect to that.
That's what makes studying human beings so difficult, though.
Hmm.
The fact that we are creative and we're divergent just for the sake of being divergent. Well, I was just doing my statistics, and I did sorry, it's a standardized residual analysis to find out outliers. And so you look over all your data points and look for outliers, and there are outliers for no reason. I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm studying something very simple that should be uniform across people, and it's not. Why? Because people are different for no reason. Just because
Hmm.
they want to be. They want to take a different way home. Their average time coming home is different times, even though they may live together for just because
Yeah.
they want to.
They just want to. Yeah. My dad, up in Washington, they kind of live kind of middle of nowhere ish. They're like 20 minutes away from the closest town. And my dad will go different ways home every chance he can just to have a different experience of it. That it doesn't accomplish anything. He always says he's chasing the fastest route home, but I think if he's being honest with himself, he's chasing control.
I never
So he
thought about
makes these
that.
different choices.
Creativity is a form of control, and being divergent and
Hmm.
taking a longer way home just because you can means that your life is in your hands in very small ways.
Hmm. I know when I was a kid, I used to really pride myself on thinking of different things. I would always try really hard. Like if a teacher asked a question that was not objective, if it was a subjective question, I would almost always take my first answer and throw it out. She's like, "What do you think this thing means?" And I'd go, "Oh, well, this means obviously this, that, and the other." And I go, "Nope, that's not a good enough answer. I need to have a
Hmm.
different answer." Because I liked being able to think about things differently. It gave me a sense of pride. It gave me a sense of differentiation.
Hmm.
It served my career very well. I tend to think about things people don't because it means a lot to me to be able to do so. In fact, the drummer for System of a Down, which is a heavier band, who is fantastic, he has the exact same approach. The band will show him music, and he'll go, "Okay, here's the drum part." He'll write a drum part, and then he will throw it out and make sure not to do anything in his first take. He's like, "If that's the first thing I think of, it's the wrong thing."
That's because that's what most people would think of then. It's got to
Hmm.
do something different.
Hmm.
Man, there's a big question hanging in the air of why. Why are we this way? Why would human beings want to do this? I mean, maybe it's not most humans then. Maybe it's just a few humans that feel the need to create, need to be different. I think we know people who follow the rote expectations of their lives and they have a certain path that they're comfortable with. And then some people who need creativity. Maybe people feel more controlled by following routine.
I want to push against that just a little bit. And not because I think you're wrong. I think there are people who are more geared towards creativity and creation. However, if I think about the people I know who are the most like, this is the rule book, we're following the rule book. At the very least, and this is potentially slightly stereotypical, they all knit or they crochet.
They need to crochet.
But they make stuff and they do follow the rules, right? But there is
Hmm.
still creativity that they find for themselves. Like I made this thing by following a pattern, but I made it. This is my thing. I made it. I created it. Nothing can take that away. Whether I follow the rules or not is immaterial. Like Jihad and his statistics that he runs on the plays,
Yeah.
right? He's following mathematical rules to create formulas to analyze these things. He's not creating the process, but he is creating a thing using a process, and
Uh,
therefore it is still creativity.
well, in that way, then nobody can escape creativity. Nobody can get away from it.
Yes.
Even the red staple accountant who comes home to the same route every day, eats the same dinner, goes to work, and just does the same job over and over. He is producing something. He is creating
Mm-hmm.
something at work, and he's involved in life, therefore he's creating something.
And I would say too that if someone is following the same routine every day, it's because they get value out of what it makes. Like that guy's in this hypothetical example is probably really proud of the work that he does. I make things at work that are valuable, and I will stick with the things that I make at work. That's what I want to do.
So how do you balance it? Does there need to be a balance between rote rule following and creativity? And I think coming into this episode, the premise is yes, there needs to be some maybe even deliberate creativity. If you find yourself um, having certain, I don't know what you'd call it, symptoms of creativeless
Mm-hmm.
life, how could you build creativity in your life? So first, I would say let's talk about symptoms of creativeless or creative
Okay.
deficit.
Creative.
Creative deficit. Call it
Okay.
creative deficit. In the first study I mentioned was from 1990, where
Okay.
people had actually said everyday creativity had um, per- changed, supported them in a lot of different ways, like personality growth. And in this way, in everyday creativity seems more to be a personality trait of doing things differently on a day-to-day basis to gain this flexibility and playfulness and humor and all those things. I would say if you're not feeling playful and humorous, that might be a symptom of a
I
creative
would say so.
deficit. In 2024, a study came out that talked about emotional creativity in improving post-traumatic growth and mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic. So,
Huh.
post-traumatic growth is what I'm going to is what is my wheelhouse right now in my research. And
Can you tailor that down? Like, what does post traumatic growth even mean?
yeah, in 1997, or well, it came out in 97, but in 96, two researchers, Tedeschi and Calhoun, they proposed that a post-traumatic growth inventory, the concept that people grow and actually can improve themselves as human beings through trauma. It's almost sacrilegious to mention it too soon. If somebody's going through trauma, I don't say, oh, by the way, this could improve your life. But they noticed that, well, it's a common premise. It's not that they noticed, but everything from like Job in the Bible overcoming tribulation to I don't know, David Goggins saying he puts himself through stuff to get better. Just Viktor Frankl, you go through stuff and
Logotherapy.
logotherapy. You become better by going through hardship. It's just a premise of life that a lot of people hold. And so they came up with an inventory on how to measure growth after trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so the post-traumatic growth inventory, and there'd been like several other suggestions on how to measure that stuff like the stress related growth scale. And anyway, post traumatic growth
Real
inventory.
quick, I'm curious just from my own personal, my humanistic,
Yeah.
existential, phenomenological, hermeneutical, blah 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 blah. What is the how does this question of post traumatic growth incorporate meaning making into it? Speaking of like Frankel, for example,
So there are 5 domains that the post traumatic
and
growth
real quick,
inventory
let me
measures.
tailor that down for
Yes,
me as
sorry.
well. Meaning making is, and we may have talked about this before. Meaning making is the question of this thing happened to me. What does it mean? A lot of times unchallenged meanings lead to bad outcomes. But if you can take a bad experience and find meaning in it or challenge the meaning you think you have uncovered growth. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, I think that as I dive more into post traumatic growth, there are synonyms throughout research when they talk about resilience and meaning making and you know, overcoming thriving is another technical term they use to talk about the same kind of concept. But in post traumatic growth, they have 5 domains: relating to others, new possibilities, personal strengths, spiritual change, and appreciation of life.
Did you really just pull those off the top of your head?
Well, this has been my thing for months.
I'm so impressed.
Anyway, um, when it comes to meaning making, I'd say new possibilities and personal strength, maybe appreciation of life might stem from a different kind of meaning making because um, you your priorities get shooken up after a house fire, and you find out that your kids are more important than that $50,000 car. And so you may sell that car because your meaning has been changed and you find yourself as a different individual after the house fire.
It's interesting you bring that up. Just 2 days ago, at the time of this recording, the lead coach, the head coach for the Miami Heat, his house just burnt down.
Ooh,
And during the Palisade fires in Los Angeles, the head coach for the Lakers, his house burnt down. And there have been interesting responses to that. They've been like, "Oh well, I'm sorry you rich people lost your fully insured house. What a real bummer." And JJ Redick, who was the coach for the Lakers, he said, "No, I didn't lose that stuff. I lost the drawings my daughter did for me when she was 2 years old. I lost the signed jerseys from the players who influenced my life. I lost pictures of my parents. Like I lost real stuff." So the meaning making, right? It does shift. He's like, "Yeah, I can go buy a new car. I mean, like these guys are making millions of dollars. Go buy a new car, but they can't go buy new versions of what their children made for them. They can't buy back a new, like, remember that time that like you lost a tooth at this exact spot on this couch? I'm like, oh my
yeah,
goodness, you're growing up. Like that's gone
yep,
forever."
exactly. So when you're um, faced with that loss, you realize how intensely important it is to you. And maybe you kind of knew, you felt in the back of your mind, like this stuff is important. It's in a scrapbook in my office. But having that gone means that it is now front and center in your life. And you're going to move forward through your life now with a whole different type of meaning. Like, I'm not going to put these little pictures in a scrapbook and have it buried under my bed in the second bedroom. It is now going to be on my wall. So post-traumatic growth changes. It measures the change in people, and I'm researching different ways that how it comes to the fore. But in any case, that's post-traumatic growth. In terms of creativity that we were talking about before, I'm gonna go back to this study here. So, 2024, emotional creativity meant how people uniquely express themselves in terms of their traumatic experience to others. And that requires so much more than just creativity. You have to be really brave and you have to feel safe enough to measure it. But how it affects post-traumatic growth. They pulled out emotional creativity. How creative can the person be in their expression? And is that creative expression more effective than rote like response or like
Hmm.
recollecting the experience is important in trauma, but creatively expressing it.
Hmm.
So
Another question too about that. Are you saying then that intentional creativity, like are they going, okay, I'm going to create a new narrative for this? Or are you talking about like they just, this thing happened, but like it could also mean this? Like they're not thinking, I need to create a new thing. They just do it. Does that make a difference?
you mean like spontaneous as a personality trait they would have been creative anyway, or like deliberate, now we're going to practice being creative, that kind of thing?
Yeah, specifically the deliberate practice as opposed to the non-deliberate, but all the same creative process.
Hmm. I think that well, here in the study it says that they were encouraged, so I think it's deliberate. In this study, basically they help people be more creative with their expression, and they found that it was help in mitigating somaticization, which is like your body response, like your physical response to remembering your trauma,
Mhm.
depression and anxiety. But it's
Hmm.
mediated by um, regulatory emotional self-efficacy. Oh, sorry, this is all word salad. Uh, basically, if you have strong emotional self-regulation and you don't express yourself creatively very much, that mitigates your ability to express yourself. So
Hmm.
they really have to work hard on the people who have strong self-regulation to say, okay, now we're going to be really creative. We're going to draw a picture with colors. I don't know if they did that, but basically, you have to share this experience with me without this strong self-regulation that you're so good at. You have to be
Hmm.
a little more expressive. Like, what color was that feeling? How was it, hot or cold feeling? Was it a sharp or a dull feeling? Like that kind of abstract expression, I think, was the creative emotional expression that they were looking for.
Yeah, there's a picture that I have in my living room right now. I may have brought it up before. My mom made this picture when she was a senior in high school, and it's mostly it's like she put a white background and then she painted all over the white background with yellow, and then she just took blue paint, oil paint, to like squeezed it on into shape and kind of spread it a little bit,
Hmm.
and that was it. And I asked her, I love this
Oh.
painting. Everyone who comes to my house notices it and goes, "That's a great painting." I get to go, "Yeah, my mom made that. It's great." I finally asked her once though, like, "What is this a painting of?" And she said, "This is a painting of anxiety." Well, what do you mean? She's like, "Well, I was trying to do hyper realism and I was doing a really bad job of it. And so I just got more and more upset. And finally I just said, screw it, I'll paint what I feel like." And so she painted this very simple, abstract, but it just catches your eye because there's something human in it that doesn't, it's not easy to put your finger on it, but there's something very real there. And it's beautiful. So even now, knowing that's my 18-year-old mom expressing anxiety and frustration makes it, to me, an even better painting. And I think all this kind of circles the question of what does a person get out of being creative? So far, it sounds like they get potential relief from hard times, a sense of control, a sense of
Mhm.
power, a sense of accomplishment. And all of these things are, I think, really important. I think another way, see, here's me thinking about this in a weird way. When I think of like,
Second answer now.
I know, do.
Yeah.
Second answer. The second answer is when you make something, it teaches you about yourself. I have a belief that there are things we have called anchors, and an anchor is a thing that attaches you to your understanding of yourself. So, for example, my anchors are I take pictures of stuff, I play video games, music, stuff like that. Those are the things that attach me to my understanding of myself. And when I start to feel like I'm getting too far away or I get lost, like, you know, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? What is this about? I realize it's because I haven't attached myself as strongly to my anchors. And so I go back to the things that tell me about who I am, right? So, like, for example, this podcast has been an unexpected, it's becoming an anchor based on the creativity and the relationship you and I are growing still. Not that we
Mhm.
weren't very close before, but like it's becoming more meaningful. But what I'm learning about myself is that I need to make something. I need to share the thing I make. For me personally, this isn't true for everybody who makes stuff, but I need to share the things that I make. I also am learning about what's important to me through the things that I make. It is important to me that it is informational. It is important to me that it is emotionally resonant with other people. And by looking at the boundaries of what I make and where I intersect with it, I learn more and more about who I am as a person. And that drives me towards more fulfilling pursuits as a result.
Have you found that as you create, in terms of this podcast or anything else, that some things are not important to you that you thought would be?
Yes. I thought that well, when I was younger, I was like, I want people to think I'm smart. I'm realizing I don't actually care if people think that I'm smart.
Mm.
Not because I'm not. I think I am fairly intelligent. I don't think I'm better than anybody, and I'm not the most intelligent person in the room, but I'm not stupid. I don't care if people think I am, though, because I know I'm not. And that's been kind of a surprise. Like, I would think that if I'm doing a podcast talking to people about mental health, I've got to be like, well, actually, ba-do. But like,
I know.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Like you have to know facts that other people don't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why I'm realizing I'm not super data forward because I don't find as much value in it. Although I will say this podcast is changing that. The stuff you bring up, I mentioned this before, Pete, it gets stuck in my head sometimes. And I do use it in ways that I'm like, dang it, have I been wrong this whole time? Ah, but I think that's what I get out of it. And I'm grateful for giving myself permission to make things and make things that aren't even good,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
discover along the way
We've talked
who I
about
am.
one of our first episodes was the trap of perfectionism and
Hmm.
sometimes the perfect is the enemy of the good, just to get it out. Um, I have I'm as you were talking about things you've created, I remembered when I first got into woodworking. We're newly married, it's a lot cheaper to buy dimensional lumber and screw it together than to go looking for something nice. So I was trying to make a pair of shelves, and I thought, well, two by fours are good, but two by tens are even better. So I made these
Ooh.
shelves that weighed about 600 pounds each, and I screwed them together. Um, and they were wonky. Like I think I made one side longer than the other, and it leaned to the left a little bit. So, and at one point, I just couldn't handle it. They are so heavy and so big, and just a little tilted that I was like, these are going to kill somebody. So I, after probably 8 months, I took them downstairs, and in a generous splurge of money, my wife bought me a carpenter square, which is about a
Mm.
92-cent plastic square that you set on the edge of a piece of wood to tell you when you're a square, which I did not have at
Mr.
the
freaking
time.
Moneybags over here.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Well, what I found was that most of the actual shelves in there were not cut square. And in fact, the side panels of my shelves were not cut square. And that I was basically not as good as I thought I was. It was hours of humbling work of trying to figure out how to do this, thinking I'd done it right, measure, 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 do it the best, and find out it was all wrong, up to like an eighth of an inch, which is a big deal for tall shelves.
Wow.
And I came to terms with it. My wife would come down and make some comment about like, oh, they're not square, huh? And that feeling of like, God, I know they're not. Like, why would you say that? And I realized that comes up in me, and I was like, but she's like, I was saying that to myself. I was saying that to myself, and
Hmm.
um, I found myself being very prideful as I was creating. I'm very impatient as I was creating. And then when it was done and it was done right, I was satisfied, and I'd created
Mm.
something. I also know that feeling of when you're in the middle of a project and whatever it is, if I hear my name getting called, Dad or Pete, and I'm working on step 2 and I can see step 7 and I just want to get
Mm.
there before the end of the night and I'm getting called away from it, I feel this rise of resentment.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm in the middle of something. And I've learned through the years, starting from those years ago working on those shelves, to put things away, to stop and to walk away. Not because I it's because I love them more than I love those shelves.
Sure.
I love them more than the project. But don't think I would know that as strongly about myself, and I wouldn't have the experience of practicing fighting it. I learned about it in a really big way. I'm impatient, and then I got practice in fighting it over and over and over again to where my name was called, and that resentment would well up because I'm doing something, and I'd be like, "Well, I do not want to be that type of man. I don't want to be that type of person." And
Hmm.
I could put down the tools and walk away, and eventually going from resentment, what do you want, to just doing it, yeah, I'm here, to hey, what's going on, what do you need? And it's been a journey, and I think it has been facilitated by creation, by
Yeah.
my desire to create.
I'm curious if you have any of the old creations you used to make or the beginning ones. If you ever go back, look at and go like, "Whoa."
I do. I keep trying to convince Katie to let me throw some things away, but she won't let me. I have some red cedar that I made into a small end table. My daughter used it for a long time. That needs to be thrown away. But I do have two lamps that I just want to redo that are made of Alaskan willow wood. My parents carried
Mhm.
around for 10 years. It's diamond willow, beautiful, knotty, just twisty type of wood that
Knotty.
yes. It's so knotty. And I turned them into lamps and set them in some Georgia pecan logs that we lived in Georgia at the time. So I just got some logs, cut holes in them, and placed this willow wood in it. And they're lovely. It's just need to redo them.
Just yeah. I mean, I know for me, like I have old songs. I look back to the first songs I wrote, and I'm like, oh. But like, there's a song that I wrote. My buddy David died 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I wrote a song after that happened, and it's not. It's recorded really poorly. It's I can hear every mistake in it, and I have people who have told me over the years that that song means a lot to them, just like friends I've shared it with, and like, oh well, the imperfections are the things they like about it, I guess, which is kind of cool. But it highlights like what does creativity do? It's a stamp. It freezes in time a thing, and who you were at that time is found in the thing you've created. And again, that's not just in like artistic things. It's Jihad in 20 years will go back and go, oh, that's right. I remember that season. I remember that game. And then he'll feel the rush of those particular kids that he was coaching, and he'll be able to reflect on the relationships that came out of it and the personal satisfaction. And, creativity connects you to your understanding of yourself, but it also connects you to where you are when you make stuff. And that's really, really valuable.
Yeah, it is like an anchor, as you said before.
Hmm.
Um, Either brings you back to a time or to yourself. I was talking to a going back to your what you had just said about bringing you back to a point in time, talking to an old family friend who'd been really involved in my childhood, and I really appreciated their involvement in my childhood, and talking with them, and they said something like, I wouldn't go back in time for $1 million. There's nothing about my past that I want to repeat. Like they were so adamantly like disgusted with themselves as human beings in the past. And that was really hurtful to me. I didn't think it was surprising because it was hurtful. Like I didn't
Hmm.
I was like, well, it's their past. And I thought, well, no, it's my past too. Like they were involved in my childhood and I was part of that. And so when they said they did all of this and creative, like I mean, they helped create me as a person. And then
Mhm.
they told me that they wouldn't go back in time. I was like, man, but I would. Like
Well,
so I
I also wouldn't go back in time really to anything that I've done because I don't want to risk screwing up the now.
oh, that is a good point because you did create it then. You created your
Hmm.
now then.
Yeah, I created my then, now. When will now be then? Soon.
Soon. Oh, dang it. What is
When will
that
then be
from?
now? That's what it is. It's from Spaceballs.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Spaceballs, the movie on VHS.
Oh
That was
man,
the
I
then
totally got
now.
sidetracked. Yeah, I got sidetracked.
Yes.
Creativity,
So,
the balance.
yes, it is a real balance. I think we're kind of talking about a couple things here. When people think of creativity, I think they probably are likely to think of like, art, a thing, a physical thing that they can touch or point to, and that is not it. I mean, talking about trauma, you create stories about what it means. That's an act of creation in response to a circumstance that is outside of your control. Um, I think that creativity is not necessarily a thing. It doesn't need to be physical. It doesn't need to be tangible. It's something that comes into existence, whatever its existence is, because you have made it come into existence. And there's again, like, not to beat the dead horse here, but like there's real power in reminding yourself you can make choices that create things and then creating them and going through the process, right? I think like talking about the wood that you made into lamps. I have a client who he's like, I don't know who I am. And so I said, well, you should make something.
Mm.
And so he said he wanted to make something in part because he's like, I always wanted to try woodworking. And so I said, you should make something out of wood. So we went and got the tools and he made an owl house. And the next week he came in, he's like, it was the worst owl house ever. He's like, it was so ugly. I cut everything wrong. I don't know if the hole was big enough, but every time I look at it, I feel so proud of myself. And he's like, I'm putting that thing up in the tree and I'm never taking it down. And I was like, yes,
Good
that is the
job.
point.
Yeah.
It's not about giving the owl a house. It's about making the house for the owl.
Speaking about mental health, I know that we're talking about a balanced life, which doesn't necessarily mean mental health. It means a lot of things,
Ah,
but creativity
it
is
includes it.
well, it includes it, yeah. But I mean, we're mental health professionals, and to a hammer, everything's a nail. So I think I gravitate towards mental health. Speaking about that maybe too often, but a
Mhm.
balanced life could mean a whole lot. Um, so at the risk of beating a dead horse, in
Mhm.
2007, um, the title of this study was "Creativity and Mental Health: A Profile of Writers and Musicians."
Hmm.
So these folks took 40 writers, 40 musicians, and 40 control participants, meaning not in creative professions, and randomized them, and then gave them a battery of tests, and found corroborated some other findings from the 70s and 80s that there was no difference between creative and non-creative groups in terms
Hmm.
of mental illness and stress. So basically, if you are in a creative profession, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're less likely to experience mental health concerns.
Well, then why on earth would a person be creative? Way to cut the
Why be
legs out from
creative?
underneath us, Pete.
Exactly. So why be creative? And I'm afraid that like when I talked about all these personality traits of everyday type of creativity, that it's like, oh, well then like to avoid getting anxious or to avoid my depression, I need to like uh make pancakes instead of waffles. Like, well, no, it's not necessarily what we're saying. I think
I
that to
think I have strong feelings. You'll be surprised to hear about what you just said. And
what?
I know who could have seen this coming. Creation is it's a confrontation. I'm confronting something about myself or about the world, and I am changing it. So, and I would also say, and this is maybe an important consideration in the data of that particular thing, is the question is if they had a creative career, not if they had a creative lifestyle.
Oh, that is a
And
good point.
I know for myself, like when I thought I was going to be a rock star, and then I thought I did everything that went in with it. Okay, well now we have to write a song. Like, well, this isn't fun anymore because now I have to write a song. I have to create something for money.
Mm.
That's not good. And in some ways, like the same with photography. Like there came a point where I was like, this sucks. I have to have a picture every day, or else I'm going to lose whatever momentum I have, and this just isn't fun anymore. Yeah, I can see why that wouldn't change stress levels at all. Well, I'm not talking about a creative job though, and I don't think you are either. I'm talking about my day-to-day life. What do I make for myself, by myself, with other people that serves no purpose beyond creating it?
Yeah, it could be
That's
that
the confrontation.
whatever your creation is turns into a job, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
accounting or for me, it's like mental health and being creative that way turns into a job, or it's music or writing. At a certain point, you're not, um, how much are you engaged in something and how much are you just doing it?
Yeah, and Kat, she writes professionally. She's a critic, and she writes reviews and stuff, and she
Kat,
gets
your
real
wife.
value
Yeah.
out. Yes,
Okay.
Catherine, my Catherine, not your Catherine, not
Oh,
Jahan's
Catherine, my
Catherine,
Catherine.
my Catherine.
Yeah.
Yes. I think she gets value out of the creation of it, and she's proud of the things that she's created. And I think that there's other creation that she embarks on that is not professional creation that is good for her soul. She's in a bunch of choirs. She plays piano for choirs. She makes music, and she's not writing the music, and she's not like telling people what to do, but she's contributing to a creation. And she does it because it's good for her soul.
Hmm. We're harkening back to the doesn't necessarily need to be art though, but it's still
Yep.
good for your soul.
Yeah. So take that study that I disagreed with.
No, I think you draw a good differentiation is the fact that when and people know this, people have said when your hobby you start getting money from your hobby, it does start to feel like a job. And then it kind of saps the fun from it. And I don't know where that comes from, but it might be because the creativity is now gone. You don't have the freedom to try something wonky. You have to do what people want. Or
That
what
is a great point. That is a very good point.
I made watches, and when I put them together, I made a few really just weird ones, like blue strap, orange dial, like a 4 o'clock um, crown, and it's just like a dive watch. It was just a weird looking watch, and I put it up on my shop, and I loved that it was up there for like 6 to 8 months before someone
Mm,
bought it. And then now my shop is empty and I feel no pressure to restock it right now. Just not right.
mhm,
I'm not there. But I can feel the pressure when people ask for them and they want
mhm.
this watch. I can feel that pressure and I'm like, what? But I want to make wonky, like fun watches, fun design stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like the creative people who I think have the most fun with it are the ones who, through luck and hard work and several other factors, are able to do it in such a way that yes, it is a job, but they're at the point where people like what they do, so there's no pressure to do it a certain way. They just and that can become a trap too, right? Like you have lots of artists who are like, well, I can't deviate from my sound because all of a sudden I've lost my capacity to,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
They say an artist or a musician has 10 years to write their first album and then 1 year to write their second album.
Yeah, it's a sophomore slump. It's a real thing, and that's exactly why.
I would give maybe now some suggestions on how to promote what we've been talking about, everyday creativity, like
Okay.
daily creativity that would support flexibility in your mind, which actually I need to look up some studies, but basically anecdotally say they
Because if you
combat
don't,
mental.
it's worthless, Pete. If you can't prove it, I don't even want to hear it.
I want at least 5 citations for everything I say. But yeah, fighting Alzheimer's and like my thinking rigidity and poor memory in later age by being creative and trying different things throughout your life. Okay, step one: feed your curiosity every day, 10 minutes, and that
Education.
education. Yeah.
Synthesis.
I said we were going to change the title of the podcast, and I was kidding at the time. So stop saying synthesis.
It's such a useful word, though. Anyway, so tell me, what did you synthesize from the information we gave you today?
Oh, are you asking the listeners or are you asking me?
I'm asking you, Pete.
Okay. Well, shoot, what did I synthesize? Feeding
You
your
don't have to answer
curiosity.
that.
Okay.
I'm being a dick. So your list.
What did I say? I was in education. We talked about balanced life in terms of education. Our last episode we recorded, finding a dearth of knowledge. Like, what is it you don't know? And even if it's the ants that you walk past on your porch, what is it you don't know about those ants? And can you find out something about those? Feed your curiosity. First off, feel curiosity. I think if you're a depressed person who just goes home and falls asleep every day, you don't have time or inclination for curiosity. So allow yourself to feel curious. I wonder. Ask yourself, I wonder, and see what you answer yourself.
I want to jump in real quick and say a constant thing that I bring up with my clients is let's live in a land of fantasy for a second, for exactly this
Ooh, I
reason,
like that.
right? Like, there's no there's no reason for it to make sense. There's no reason for it to be logical, and there's no obligation to follow through. It's just in a land of pure fantasy. How do you approach this? And again, because it tells you about what's important to you, the boundaries of what's important to you, and if you could do anything, how you would approach it.
Awesome. And approaching stuff is what I would say number 2 of 3. I'd give you 3. So 3. Number 1, feel curious, whatever it takes to feel that way. Number 2, do something. Create something, a small thing regularly. I have my wallet. You can't see it here, but my wallet is a man purse that my brother gave me. And on one half is blank sheets that I sketch with. And I do sketches periodically as the mood takes me. And the second half of my wallet is a notebook where I jot down notes. And I find this to be a wonderful repository. It turns into like a journal entry of sketches as I go through my life. And I love it. I love it.
I want to do a quick shout out, by the way, to somebody that I know and love very dearly, a guy named Jeff Barlow, who in Seattle is known as the Draw It in One Song guy. He likes drawing and he likes music, and so he just combined the two. So he's like, I want an excuse to go see shows. So every time he goes to a show, he brings a notebook and he draws the band in the space of one song that they play. And
Oh my
he's
goodness.
kind of got a bit of a following now, and which is cool, but that's not why he does it. And he's come to visit me. I've gone to visit him, and every time I'm with him, he has this thing out and he draws something. And in fact, one time he's like, "You shouldn't take pictures of stuff. You should draw it because you'll remember it better." And so I tried that out. I went and sat on my front porch, and I can't draw very well at all, but I decided to just draw what I was looking at. And so I drew the view from my front porch as I saw it on my front porch. And you know what? I will never forget, especially like the detail between the slats on the thing in front of like my little patio, whatever. I remember like making sure I got it right. And so now I remember very clearly that experience. So I love that. I love it so much.
Wonderful. The third step is probably the most difficult one for a lot of people, and that is share it. Either collaborate with somebody, or to create it, collaborate, or when you're done with it yourself, share it. You have to show somebody, and those would be my suggestions for building everyday creativity. First, feel curiosity. Second, do something about it, and third, share it with somebody.
I love it. A little asterisk is that if you don't feel confident in sharing it, you don't have to like share the whole thing, but even just telling someone, "Hey, I made a thing. I kind of like it."
Yes, yeah.
Some kind of communal experience with your creativity will make you feel more connected to your surroundings.
And I think the what we call in aircraft maintenance, lagging indicators, like the fallout from how you can tell you're doing. Like, what are the lagging indicators? Would be what you've talked about in terms of anchoring your personality, anchoring your feelings, and from what our studies have said about being flexible and open-minded, and maybe more humorous and playful. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question, does creativity need to be shared to be valuable? I'm going to say no, it doesn't need to be, but it sure helps.
Yes, yeah, it sure helps. These are my anecdotal suggestions. Take them for what they're worth, and you get what you pay for.
Try them on and see if they fit, and if they don't, that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. You could do like Emily Dickinson and just hole up in your apartment, write beautiful poetry, and keep it for another day.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think this is the very last question that I kind of wanted to ask, and I think will be a very quick answer. Does creation need to be marketable to be worthwhile?
Oh, marketable. No way. No way.
No way, indeed.
Creativity is a godlike behavior.
Tell me
I
more. That's a big thing to say. I agree with it, but tell me more.
I would say God doesn't really care whether we like what he's done or not. He would prefer that we appreciate it. But I mean,
If you believe in God, by the way.
yeah, if you believe in God. What I mean godlike, I mean like an all powerful performance. It's an all powerful thing.
Hmm.
A mountain doesn't care what you think about it. It just is. It just is. A mountain, you can meditate on that mountain and absorb its stoicism. It is just there.
Hmm.
One of the things I got from a road trip with my wife, we went on a motorcycle trip, and I remember passing by thousands of trees in the Boise National Forest, and I thought to myself, all of these trees aren't here for me. I love them and they're beautiful. And you think as a human, this egocentric center of the universe person, oh, I'm so glad they have this forest for people to enjoy. But that's not why it's there. It's there because it wants to be there. This tree is just planted. This tree has propagated itself in order to survive, and it is there, maybe even despite humanity's best efforts,
Yeah.
not because of our efforts. And so driving in through this forest and seeing the mountain, you feel so infinitesimal, as like this is all so big and has nothing to do with me. So when I say godlike behavior, I take these sketches in my book and they are independent of any other person. They can look at those things and they can appreciate them or they cannot appreciate them. But in the grand scheme of things, it is still here. These sketches in my wallet are still here, maybe even despite the pressure I feel from other people. So in terms of God, it could also mean nature or grand scheme of things. But it is a
the
godlike
universality
behavior.
of existence.
Exactly. I create these things and they exist outside of anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I share them with people so that I can connect with them and I can share my humanity, kind of expose myself to people. Oh, Taylor, I didn't have to see your face.
I didn't
Oh
say
my
a thing.
gosh.
I said nothing.
This is what happens.
I
when
even
you
tried
have a
really hard not to
podcast.
make a face.
Someone else make a podcast with Taylor McCary and try to say things like that. Ah, gosh, I didn't want to say anything. Anyway, you rip open your chest and you show yourself to someone else. There is value in that, regardless of what they think about it, because you're human and they're human. So people did see those shelves that I made and how awful they were, and we talked about how awful they were. Oh gosh. Oh man.
I just
Every
really want
day
to point out
they did, and it was crooked.
I just want to point out I did not say anything.
Oh man, Taylor.
Pete reacted. I was not going to say anything.
That was
because
funny.
There was no need.
Right when
Pete
I
with
said
his
that,
dirty mind.
that's phrase. Like when you create and you share, you're exposing yourself. And right when I said that, I broke down. I don't even know what Taylor's face was doing. I just
you were talking
knew.
about exposing yourself to other people. You were creating a memory. See, that was a gift. You were giving
look
them.
at this. Here we are. I'm going to expose myself to the internet now.
Oh my goodness.
Can you do that on YouTube?
Yes. There are other sites that are better suited for it.
Yeah. Well, here we are, creating something and then sharing it with others.
Mm-hmm. Vulnerability, baby. I knew what you were saying.
Thank you.
I knew what you were
Appreciate
saying.
that. Make a comment below if you've ever exposed yourself to other people.
Yes. Please do not feel inclined or like you have to show us proof.
No.
We don't need that.
Oh, man.
And as always, be intelligent in your exposure.
Yeah. In any case, sharing what I create is important.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, every time I write a song or have a song idea, I make my wife listen to it, and she's always very sweet and goes, "Mm-hmm, very nice." But this is kind of like a last thought, a last thing I want to say is that kind of piggybacking off of what you said, the mountain exists for itself. The trees don't exist because we want them to. when I make stuff, I do it for me. And Rick Rubin, who is a very famous music producer, will say all the time, the audience comes dead last. He's like, if you're making something for the audience, you've already failed. Make it for yourself. Wow. And the reason for that is because you are the one who's expressing something. You're not trying to express for them. That's their job. You're expressing for yourself, and they find connection through your expression. That's the goal.
That's great. That's very true.
Yeah. So when you find yourself like, what should I make? Like, well, what will people think? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not making it for them. You're making it for you.
Yep. And we've talked about how it even takes the fun out of it when you start making something for someone else. When you start getting paid for it.
Yes, when it starts to become like, I have to do this.
You
thing.
have to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, making stuff for other people can be fun, but I mean when you have to.
Yeah, like I've written songs for my wife, and I love it, and she says she loves it.
Yeah, she said so. She said the words.
My daughter makes pictures, and I save the pictures she makes because she's making them for me, and it's an expression of love. But I would never be like, okay, Alex, it's been a couple of days now.
Where's the love?
I need a new picture of a cat, otherwise I won't feel loved.
Oh my gosh, that would be so bad. Oh, she'd grow up terrible. Complex.
Yes. Well, I think we did it, Pete. Also, I want to just point out, by the way, this is our 10th episode.
No way! Yay!
Double digits, baby.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Taylor, on staying with it.
You're the one who hasn't put up with me.
Well,
it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you very much for being along with us on this episode of Finding a Balanced Life in Creativity. I think we hit on some really good points.
I think so too.
The next episode we're going to hit on is going to
physical fitness.
Yeah,
physical movement, physicality.
Pursuits. Finding a balanced life. That's going to be a touchy one because a lot of people talk about balance. Oh, nice, yeah. Finding balance in being physical, and we're not just talking about exercise. It's not just
that is correct.
That kind of thing.
There's a lot more to it. Kind of like how creativity isn't about art, physicality isn't about exercise.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, Stay tuned for next week. Appreciate you coming along. Oh, email us at emotionalmenpc@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. And feel free to find us on the old Instagrams. We're at Emotional Men Podcast, and email us and be our buddies.
Yeah, carrier pigeon. Whatever.
That's right. That's right. Whatever it is, we will accept, and we do really we love hearing what people think, and we do respond to everything, and we read it. And anyway, Pete, as always, what a lovely pleasure it is to see your bright, smiling face.
It's been lovely, Taylor. Have a great day.
You too, man. Love you, buddy.
Love you. Bye.